Greetings, my fellow fortress dwellers. Rodamont here. Thank you for tuning in to Dwarf Fortress Taming the Wilds, Episode 3, Begone, Child. So food and drink, looking pretty good. Meat, I'm not going to worry about. I don't have any hunters, and I'm not going to be slaughtering any of my animals just yet. We're just fishing instead. And the reason you don't see a lot of fish is as soon as the fish is butchered, it turns into meals. I did say that I wanted to geld this cat, so I'm going to geld it so that I don't end up with a bajillion kittens. And then these two stray dogs, I'm going to turn into war dogs, I think. But I'm not so concerned about that. It's more just that they're going to be my alarm system for when things go wrong. So now I'm starting to be given messages that I don't have cookables. And this is a result of me queuing up this make easy meal bill forever and not having any conditions on it. So we'll see that error message. And if it becomes annoying, I can set conditions here. So the amount of unprepared meals is less than 50, and actually maybe just unrotten cookable solid items or regular items is greater than 10, and that way we don't make meals until we actually have the ingredients for it, or we don't even attempt. All right, farm, still no. I'm gonna let my miner do other things. I could prioritize it, but I'm just getting plants. Lazy. If I wanted to build it, if you're wondering, add new work detail. What is... I don't know what building a farm plot is. Wall and floor construction, maybe? I think? I believe? Oh, farming fields. Well, alright, so this custom detail will be called temp. And it'll just show you how to, like, force someone into it. I'll reuse this later on. So I'm going to give my planter the temp. And then if I go to if I remove planting from the farmer and then lock them into this temp, they're going to be forced to basically go build that farm field because I've prevented them from doing all other tasks. Unfortunately, it happens to the person that is the most frustrated in the community, but whatever. I don't care. He can bite me. And he just might. Alright, so yeah, it worked. He's now constructing a building. There it goes. So that's one of the ways to sort of force your farmers to do what you're bidding. And I'm going to start farming plump helmets, which is a particularly useful crop. Not to say that they all aren't. But there is a bit of crop rotation. Well, since it's summer, maybe I should plant something that can't be planted in other seasons. Oops. Okay, there we go. And I'm telling them to fertilize it, but I don't have any fertilizer because I don't have a wood furnace just yet. Now that I've forced them up there, just to demonstrate that you can do that if you want, this temp zone, I'm going to rename as a reminder to just rename it when I next want to use it, and then put my planter as a planter again. The reason I did the rename is, I guess you can delete them, but if you make a 1, 2, and 3 and then delete the 2, you're going to have a 1 and a 3. So it really depends on how annoyed you would become if that happened to you, I guess. And let's check back on the kitchen to make sure that they're cooking things that make sense. So hazelnuts I'll cook with, and not the plump helmet spawn or the other seeds. Okay, yep, this looks right. So, drawbridge. One of the things I want to do in the drawbridge here is I want to set it up so that no one can get trapped, because getting trapped is kind of annoying. So the first thing that I'm going to do in this drawbridge is create oh, is that? Yeah, I have a divot here that I'm going to want to fill in because I dug down. Yeah, good to know. Well, I guess the first thing to do is create a floor here then. And I'll make it out of shale. And then on both sides, just for the symmetry, I'll make it 3 deep. I'm going to create a 3 deep pit for the drawbridge. And the stairwell is going to be on the side of the ramp. So I get that it's hard to visualize, but imagine that you have a ramp from the surface down, and then at the bottom of the ramp, you'll have a drawbridge with a pit underneath it, and the stairwell is connected to the ramp. So if you fall into the pit, you can climb back out using these stairs, but only climb out to the outside, not to the inside. That way no one gets trapped, although chances are with a 3 deep pit, they'll be pretty injured. You can also use drawbridges as a weapon. If you drop the drawbridge on someone's head, that can kill them. You've been warned. And then the drawbridge itself, I think, is, let's see, 3, 6, 9. 1, 2, 3. So the drawbridge zone itself is going to be like that. You can, I didn't mention this, but you can dig on multiple Z levels at once by queuing it up and then scrolling multiple Z levels to dig like a column or a shaft or something like that. And likewise, you can erase it the same way too. Oops. Dig this. Dig this. There we go. I might need to manually fill that in, but that's fine. Because I channeled that out and I didn't mean to. But it's aesthetics only. It's not a big deal, functional-wise. So that is a pit for the actual drawbridge itself. Then the other thing I want to do is the drawbridge walls here. I'm going to have as fortification walls so that in the case that there are enemies at the base of my ramp, I can shoot them with crossbowmen. Because that sounds good. So these here, these sides are... actually, I'll dig all this out. So I'm digging it wider so that I can set up sort of a... You know what? I'm going to make it fancy. I'm going to make it... It's going to take a little bit more effort. But I'm going to make it look cooler. There we go. So dig like that. I want the pit to be visible from this angle, as it will just look more aesthetically pleasing. It will make sense once it's done. So now that I have that farm done, build an entrance drawbridge is what I'm working on. I might also have to force my miners into mining again. So the great miner I'm going to force into mining. And then perhaps I'll also force the skilled miner too, depending on how fast this gets done. Because it's a fair bit of mining, but it's not overwhelming. Initially, it's really important not to have like an overwhelming amount of work queued up, because people will never get it done before, you know, calamity. Okay, I do have the farm plots sown. Good. And there we go. There's that skilled miner. Let's go ahead and have our first raffle. So I'm going to be raffling off the expedition leader. And then I think what I'll do is when dwarves hit legendary status on certain skills, I'll consider raffling them off as well. But I did just have 3 people immigrate, so we should also take a look at the immigrants. Some immigrants have arrived. It's this little hobo pack icon. So we have a dwarven child, which is not great, but fine. This dwarven child came in with a mother and father who both immigrated, I'm assuming. So Kib and Onal, and those are the 3. So 1 child and a set of parents. So here they are. Did you bring in a stepladder? You did. That's weird. So you are a legendary weaponsmith. Oh, that's not bad. You can also tell that they're legendary in something because they blink. So these blinking names indicates that they've obtained legendary status in something. But in this case, it's a weaponsmith. In fact, what I could do is set up weaponsmithing as a unique task that only the weaponsmith will be able to do. There is a drawback specifically with weaponsmithing, doing it this way, which is kind of annoying. Some of you veteran players might know. A really, really capable weaponsmith will make a lot of master-crafted bolts. And then when hunters or fighters fire those bolts, it can upset the weaponsmith. And it's like, dude, they were bolts. Of course they were going to be fired. So it's a little annoying to have a legendary weaponsmith at times, but whatever, I'll take it. I think that's a bug that's eventually going to get worked out. So I'm creating a custom task here so that only the legendary weaponsmith can make weapons. That way it's not wasted on the uninitiated. Then the other person that came in was his wife, or husband. The weaponsmith is female, who's a clerk, who is a adequate record keeper and a novice organizer. So they're going to be a generalist for now. I have no idea. Onal, I guess. Onal Color. Yes, good name. And then they have a child, and their child has no skills. Children, if you go into labor, they can do chores like milking animals, stone hauling, wood hauling, item hauling. So they're not useless. They're just not. They don't do skilled craft. But you definitely don't want a fortress, especially as a new player. You don't want a fortress significantly made up of children. So if that was ever a problem, and you just had way too many children, you could expel them. So if I didn't want this family, and I'm not going to expel them, because a legendary weaponsmith is kind of nice, but if I didn't want them and they weren't nobility, I could kick them out, and the whole family would go. But also, one thing to keep in mind is their relatives, if any of their relatives are in the colony. So if they had like an aunt or an uncle or something like that, they would be upset that their relatives were expelled. But sometimes you'll have like a mother with like 9 children show up, and you're just like, no, I can't deal with this. This is ridiculous. You eventually get a nicer way to expel people where you can just relocate them later on when you're like a barony. We'll get into that later. Maybe. But for now, that clerk here, I am going to force them into mining. Because he's not really good at anything else I care about. So I'm going to force conscript him to help mine, because I have a lot of mining tasks queued up. Is there anyone that is a stone cutter? You are an adequate stone cutter. I'm going to force you to do it. Are you the master miner, though? No, you're the skilled miner. So off of mining onto stone cutting. So stone cutting is going to be a little annoying that I'm doing it in the dormitory, because anyone sleeping there is going to be annoyed that it's really loud. But it's going to make the dorm and the dining room nicer. and I want that stonecutter to practice stone cutting, because smoothing things out is a really good way to build wealth, which is important for having nice rooms. So I'm just having him practice now before the colony gets too big. It's good to build up those fundamental skills. So wait, you have 3 children, and you brought only your youngest. Your other 2 daughters you left. Well, at least it's not my problem. My food amount is going up, which is good. Drinks are holding at 200. Also really good. It wouldn't be a terrible idea for me to have like a mini office. I am going to set this room up as a micro office, just to try to get an accurate count of things I own. Innoverde, thank you for the gifted subs. She brought her favorite. How old is the youngest anyway? Like 20-something, I bet? 16. Dwarves don't have regular human length ages. So, yeah. You'll have a lot of 70 and 80-year-olds. Don't worry about them being 70 or 80. They're spry. This is a temporary office. Obviously, I'm not going to have a 7x7 for an office that's absolutely ginormous. This is just so that my my expedition leader can get a basic count. And I do realize that that raffle has triggered. We'll call this temporary office, because I don't intend for it to be permanent. Happy. That's a good name for a dwarf. Just as long as there's no, like, Sleeping Beauty anywhere. Congrats on winning. To you, expedition leader. Happy little tree. Right on. Happy little tree. I like it. Their office doesn't have furniture yet, but she's sitting in there. And you can see even without the furniture, see how the food, drink, seeds, all that jazz up there is not like a guesstimate now? It's 91, 168, 133. That's because I set up the office. The office doesn't even have a door, table, or chair. She's just sitting on the ground going, okay, what the hell do we have? Looks like we're okay. And that will also tell me what stocks I have too. So before, for stones, it was like a guesstimate. Shale would have been like, oh, you've got like around 200, and now I know it precisely. And the levels of precision can be found here. So you can set the levels of precision here, so that and this is like sort of how long you have to work to try to figure that out. But I'm just gonna have it be precision up to 5. I like to know to the digit. All right, that's looking good. So once we dig that out, I'm going to be channeling it for a pit. So this brings me to something that I probably should have explained before. Although this looks like each level has like one block, it's not exactly. It's in Dwarf Fortress, the individual elevation levels are like a main block and then a floor block underneath it. So if you channel, you're removing the floor block as well. So you can have a pit as many floors as you want deep. So right now what you're looking at is like me tunneling into a mountain, but leaving a little bit of space below for a floor. And then the ceiling above is just the floor of the elevation above me. It's much easier if I had like a visualization for this, but my point is this pit right now isn't a pit. It's just multiple levels stacked on top of one another, and once it's all dug out, I'm gonna turn it into a pit, because it wouldn't work as a drawbridge dropping them down into just one level below, because a lot of enemies can climb up that level and ignore the fact that you have a drawbridge. Yep. You can even eventually, like, fill your pit with magma or stuff like that. I mean, if you really want to get crazy complicated. Who's fighting? No. You are fighting who? You're just, I think a dog bit you or something. I don't even know. Don't really care. It's not my fight. An animal became a stray war dog. Let me see what's going on. We haven't gelded you yet. And the dogs I had just got turned into war animals, I guess. Alright, let's clear this out. Can dwarves change their appearance? So you can dye clothing and armor and the like. And that, I think, would be the closest. And, like, choose what gear they have on and that for at least your squads. That would be the closest to, like, appearance, I think. I could be wrong. I don't know well enough, I don't think. Alright, so we're almost done digging this out. Did we build that floor? No, we haven't built the floor yet. And as I said before, it's just important to have it be 3 wide so that caravans can visit you. I think all the miners are, yeah, they're asleep. No, one's digging. Okay. There we go. No, don't walk. Okay, whatever. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to channel. So the first thing I want to channel is where the bridge is going to go. So 3, 6, 9. I'll have a 9. It's way longer than it needs to be. A long bridge, one advantage of the long bridge is it increases your chance that when you spot an enemy that they're caught on the other side. If you have a really short bridge, they might bridge that gap before you can lift it, because you have to manually, I mean, you can set them up for like pressure plates, but that's kind of annoying and not particularly reliable. So they're also just look cool, and perhaps I'll be able to kill someone with it. ALS Gamer, thank you for the gifted subs, and thank you for the gifted subs like on Christmas too, even though I wasn't streaming. Totally unheard of, but cheers. I had a very interesting Christmas, so I appreciate the love. By interesting I mean not like kind of blah. So now with the channel, you can actually see the open space below it. And then I'm going to do the same next to it. When you channel, your dwarves are not smart. So if you set the entire area to be channeled, they can channel around them and then fall through like some sort of Acme cartoon. So you're going to want to set up your channeling so that they don't kill themselves or harm themselves, because recovering from injuries at this stage of the game takes a very long time and is going to knock them out of being productive for a long time. So now you can see that I have this, it's only 1 deep gap, but all the channeling in this case did was it removed the floor level. So like I said, there's a block level and a floor level, a sub level or whatever, and the channeling just removed the floor level, so the floor level's gone. If I did a channel like this, it would dig out it would dig the block and the floor level together. Excuse me. And then, you know, but all right, so now that that's done, I'm going to want to wait for this floor to be built so that I can set up the bridge. I want to build the bridge on flooring rather than on just cavern floor, just because it will look nicer. And the reason to use, you know, it's just aesthetic only. But once your bridge is built, there's really not a good way to change the floor that is built underneath it without deconstructing the bridge and starting over again. It's not a big deal because you get the materials returned. It's just smarter to do it this process. If dogs require no food, why aren't dogs the best crop to eat early game? You could eat dogs early game, yeah. You could just, like, breed animals to be eaten. In fact, I do have a guinea hen, and they make eggs like crazy. So that would be a good way to have eggs for food early on. Well, now that that hole's dug, now what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start channeling out the floors beneath it so that we get a pit. No, I'm not going to bother smoothing anything. If you want to butcher animals, rather than doing the butcher shop, just go to your pets and livestock and click this little butcher cleaver. And that will queue the animals up to be butchered. The butcher shop itself is already set up in defaults to automatically process orders. So automatically butcher carcasses, automatically clean fish. So you don't need to do the butchery unless you're trying to micromanage it. The butcher tasks are automated and will fully process the carcass, separating bone from skull so that you can make bone trinkets and totems, and then the meat so that you can cook with it. So all you have to do is go to the pets and livestock and swing, and they'll die eventually. Cheers. So now, I kind of like an onion. I am peeling back the layers of this pit, one layer at a time, so that we just don't collapse, cave in, and have everyone die. Because as any veteran player probably can attest to, if you don't do it carefully, your dwarves are going to drop into the abyss and harm them. Oh! Or make a mistake. Because I don't want to dig that out. I thought I was scrolling. Yeah, I scrolled the wrong way. Hey, buddy. There you go. Hey, Tusky. That's for you. Wooden bins are done. I don't have any potash. Maybe I make potash. Workshop. Furnaces. Wood furnace. One right there. And workshops. Furnaces. Smelter. One right there. We'll just keep peeling this back. I might need to force someone to actually do the building parts, because that accidental channel out area is not getting filled in anytime soon. How long till I raid? Oh, it's a long time. Having an organized, well-armed, well-trained military is not a Season 1 thing that you're going to be able to accomplish. Not unless you're going out to a world site that has like one goblin or something. So I'm here, and actually this goblin site has less than 10, but still, without armor and weapons, I would get wrecked. Whoa! ALS Gamer, I didn't notice that. Holy cow. Merry Christmas to you too. I'm very much looking forward to... I know we spoke about this earlier, but the next YouTube series, once my schedule is not crazy with trying to learn a brand new game, because I've only been really learning Dwarf Fortress since it released. I was never a player of the ASCII version, so I had a lot of catching up to do. And Tangier, for your gifted subs as well. Yeah, I'm less attentive than I normally am, because this game sucks attention like a shop vacuum. And I just ran out of coffee. Oh. Well, I'll be pink now. So this is just a reminder that winter is coming. And the only thing that I have to really worry about is this kid. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to have a water source for them when the brooks freeze over. So I will have to deal with that if that becomes a reality. Maybe they, I don't know. We'll see. We decided that I work on the drawbridge, so the drawbridge shall be done. Damned be the consequences. And then we also have a liaison from the civilization that I started with that just showed up, just arrived. And they are going to be traversing towards my fortress and heading to the trade depot. I usually seek underground water for the kids pretty early on, but that's not what we voted on. So, diplomacy. I'm your liaison from Mountain Homes. Let's discuss your situation. The world is the same as ever. So that is kind of an indicator that they didn't bring news. Then you can make a request for them to carry a certain item on their caravan for next year. My suggestion, leathers and cloths are really kind of annoying to source for yourself, and it's a good thing to ask for. So I'm just going to say, bring me some cow leather and bring me pigtail cloth. No, actually, maybe just, both. Cow leather and pigtail cloth. So they will bring it to me, but at twice the price. Keep in mind, it's easy to make money. The price doesn't really matter. And then they want to buy footwear and cut gems for me for next season. And they will pay somewhere between, they will pay 198% for the footwear and 193% for the cut gems. So they will pay extra for the gems and footwear. But only for next season. It only applies for the next time they come. Cut gems is going to be really easy for me to source, so I will make sure to cut some gems for when they return. So what's going to happen at this point is... Oh, we have a foal and a puppy. What's going to happen at this point is the trade caravan is going to get out to that trade depot. And this is why you want a trade depot relatively early on, because you'll miss out on trade opportunities. And now that they're here, I can then move my goods to the trade depot to sell some of the stuff to them. So I'm going to click large gems over here and just go move all my large gems over to him, because that's something I have that I've been grinding out. I have no idea why I have so many mugs. That's a crazy amount of mugs. And I'm just looking to see if there's other things. Certain things like the pond turtle shells, as you can see, have a value of 0. It's only when we cut them into gems does it get a value of roughly 10. So there's no point in trying to sell those. Also, another important thing to point out is there's a finite amount of carry weight that this trader can hold. So selling them a whole bunch of heavy objects like stone furniture isn't really going to work, because it will weigh them down and they won't be able to actually do the transaction. So I'm going to sell some of the more expensive shell mechanisms that are higher quality, as designated by these little dashes and stars. I don't want to sell any of my meals and drinks, as I'm about to head into a winter. The rough stones fetch a much higher price once I cut them myself, so I'm not going to part with them. And I think I'm actually going to sell some of the copper weapons. Copper is not a particularly good material for weapons, and I don't think... I'll keep a copper battle axe, but all the rest of the weapons I'm going to part with. The copper battle axe is just in case. All right. And then I have to wait for those 32 items that I have queued up to be moved to the trade stockpile, but any haulers can haul it. And then once those items are there, then I'll request that my broker go to the depot to actually physically do the trade. I'm gonna just cancel the mug queue. I think what's happening is I just have a ton of mugs. No, there's tons of empty mugs over here. These guys are just nuts. It's all just sitting in the craft dwarf's workshop and not hauled away. That's what's happening. They're not counting as a result. Or at least I think that's what's going on. Hey, bud. Can't even see him. He's lounging pretty hard today. Alright. Still peeling back that pit. $11 more items to be hauled in. And it is officially autumn. It's early autumn. Oops, too deep. So this is the last of it. So you can see the... I'm not gonna... yeah, actually, maybe I'll peel back the last layer, too. So big old pit for invaders. So on this level, I'm just queuing up. Actually, it would be safe to peel all the way across, because it's supported by terrain. I'm just trying to avoid cavern collapses so that nobody gets hurt. Okay, so the pit is dug for the drawbridge. Now all I have to wait on is the floor. Because the digging is done, I'm going to allow the miners to do other tasks. But the stoneworker, I still want to smooth out the dorms, even though I'm sure the noise from all the stone smoothing is pissing off anyone trying to sleep. But that's not my problem, it's theirs. Cheers. All right. All the goods are moved, so I'm going to request that my broker go to the depot. I believe that my broker is still probably the best one to do the trade, but I can reassess this. We got a broker. Yes. Yeah. Happy Little Tree is definitely the best still. So then Happy Little Tree will eventually get heading to the trade depot queued up. You can see what they're currently working on. So right now, she's just having a drink. She's in no rush. But the trade caravan's here for a very long time, and it will warn you on the left when they're leaving. It will be this little donkey icon. It will be like they're preparing to leave. They stick around a while, so it's not urgent at all. All right, so now... oh, you're going to sleep. Cute. All right, well, we'll be doing that later then. Autumn. Let's do dimple cups, because I ran out of cave wheat. We'll just have to wait for Happy to wake up. So as we smooth out this dorm, this specific type of room, you can't easily see the value, but like things like temples or guild halls, or we'll have a value of a room designated pretty clearly. But as we smooth it out, it's going to be a happier place for people to sleep, and because it adds value to the room a little bit. And nice rooms make for happy. Oh, speaking of happy, Happy's here. Good. So then, taking a look at the trade. What I tend to want to buy is fabrics, because they are hard to obtain yourself. So buy things that you can't make, and make things that you can sell. So silk bags, these rat leather, these cheaper bags I'm going to buy, because it's nice to have bags to be able to store plants and seeds and things like that in them. And then leathers I'm going to buy. Well, we also have to, if you take a look at in the orange here, the trader loss, I have to make sure that I have the money for this stuff. So I'm going to queue up all the things that I brought to sell. And right now I have enough. If it's green, they'll accept the price. Clicking this box buys everything in the box. So I'm going to buy the bin plus the leather. I could instead actually in this case, because I'm on a budget, I'm going to hand pick the leather. But as you can see, it's a almost no price difference. Yeah, I'll just buy the box. And then here's this leather bin as well. Gonna buy that as well. And here's a cloth one. Now this one's a little bit different because some of these cloths are expensive. So I'm just, because all of these cloths are eventually just probably going to be made into bags or quivers or something, I'm only going to buy the cheaper ones because the expensive ones are just not worth what they're asking for. In fact, let me get rid of these two and do these pig cloth tails. Nope, that's all the money I have. So any more purchase and I won't be able to trade because I'm not offering enough. I would have liked to, well, I could buy a little meat. There, I'll buy some sheep intestines and goat spleens. And thanks for the raid. Welcome. Cheers. My first trade of the stream. But if I had more to sell, I could buy a bunch of plump helmets, which I could cook and brew with. I could buy more fruit to brew with, buy threads to spin into cloths, so on and so forth. There's a lot of trade opportunities. But boom, we're done. And like I said, don't forget to have your broker off duty once you're done trading. So now that trade is done, you'll see if I go to meat, for instance, here's the... Nope, that's not the meat yet. But the meat is in here, ready to be hauled away. And I'll be able to get those bags. So one of the things I want to do with those bags is I want to turn the leather that I bought and the cloth that I bought into more bags for more storage. That's going to be important. I might need to force someone to build, though. Because there is not a lot of people building right now. And welcome, Raiders. Let me give you a shout out. First time shatter for Raiders. I love it. At least the trade isn't with filthy elves. Yeah. There's only so many times that the elves can say that I'm stunted and stupid for cutting down trees until it's like, all right, I heard you. I'm a stupid creature. I get it. The elves are a little snooty. There's not like there's not a lot of interspecies love like you get in Lord of the Rings. Actually, I guess it depends on what age of the Lord of the Rings you mean. Alright, so I ran out of dimple cups to plant, but that's fine. And what's going to happen is I'm hauling away the things that I purchased, and then eventually they will pack up at the end of the season and leave on their own, and I'll be warned when that happens. It's quite obvious. Alright, I am tired of waiting for a builder. Jesus. Let's just force someone to build, because this is getting ridiculous. Wall and floor construction. Done. I'll call this temp, because I don't intend... Eventually, when you have a larger population, large building projects go really easily, because I don't, like... It's a task that everyone can do. But right now, I'm going to task the expedition leader to do the building, because no one else is doing it. As you can see, I have these unfinished workstations, the table and chair that I put down ages ago. Just because I'm issuing a lot of tasks. And if you wanted to see and go into your tasks here, you can actually see what they're working on and the order in which they're working on. So here are the floors that I queued up and the doors, the wood furnace, the smelter in this task. You can pause them, unpause them. And there's just a lot of storing in the stockpile tasks ahead of it because of all the purchasing and hauling to and from the trade depot I just did. Which is why the holdup. But we still have liquid water for now. It is mid-autumn, and I'm a little worried that the immigrant child that we had is going to have a hard time drinking in the winter. That would be my one concern, because I don't have a well. But there we go. Now we have the bridge, and it's rough shale block floors. So I'm going to build on the other side, right here, shale block as well. And the expedition leader is doing it, because I've told them to. Done. And then construction, bridge. And what's important here is there's 4 different directions it could be in, from left to right. Oops. From right to left, from down to up, or south to north, and north to south. So you're going to want a bridge that goes this way, right? So that we can retract it When a bridge is lifted, even though this looks really long, it will fit vertically. It's magic. It's dwarf magic. Don't question it. And then also it acts as a wall when it's retracted. So I can build a bridge like that, and let's make it cinnabar, so it's bright red, just like our trade depot. And you can see why I put the shale floors underneath, because once the bridge is constructed, there's no way to get at what is constructed under. That's also true of some furniture too. Like when you set up a pedestal, you can't like change the floor beneath the pedestal because the pedestal's in the way. Oh, I have a lot more immigrants. Holy cow. 9 more people just joined. So there's a woodcutter who's an adequate woodcutter who has no relatives here. There is a blacksmith who's an adequate blacksmith. I am going to delete this temp zone and set up blacksmithing as its own unique task to control for skill. And there's 2 of them. Blacksmith, 1, 2. Are you related? No, but you're related to a husband who's a farmer. And you didn't... There is more children, though. I might actually kick some of these guys out. So there is a gem cutter who showed up who brought 2 kids. And she is not nobility, so I could boot her. She brought 3 kids. So this is a case where it's probably... How old are they? 5? Yeah, it's probably in my best interest to expel them because keeping them might get them killed. So this gem cutter, if I go to the gem cutter labor here, they are actually not even better than the gem cutter I already have, this metal crafter. So, Toulon, so long. We don't need you. You'll survive better without me. Expelled. So then that means that the other new arrivals, 2 blacksmiths, then we have a weaponsmith who is adequate. AKA, I'm not going to expel them necessarily, but they're not going to be a weaponsmith. So if I go to labor here, I'm going to make sure that they're not selected weaponsmith because I have a legendary already, and I'll just retool them to do something else. But they're married to the farmer here, this farmer. So I don't want to expel them. As far as farming go, wait, this farmer's not good at planting? What the hell are you good at then? Let's figure this out. You are a butcher and a thresher. That's not farming, but fine, whatever. There's a case to be made that this farmer and their spouse, who is the... Oh, no, that's Shem. This farmer and their spouse, the blacksmith, could be expelled as well. One use for people that have skills that aren't particularly useful is to use them in your military. And the reason being is kind of multiple factors, but 1, there's currently a bug where if you're a miner, if you are a hunter or a woodcutter, there's a bug where if you put them in your military, it's going to glitch out a little bit because a miner needs a mining pick and a woodcutter needs an axe, a wood axe, and a hunter needs a bow. And those professions have like their own uniform. So when you're trying to uniform up a military and they also do mining, woodcutting, or hunting, it's going to conflict with their work. So one of the reasons why you use dwarves with skills that are not particularly necessary in your military is like, if I, for instance, drafted my legendary weaponsmith in the military, it just means he's not making legendary weapons anymore. So it's best to use peasants or people with skills that aren't particularly useful, like a thresher or a blacksmith who's only adequate. So keeping them around for other reasons might be necessary. And have I trained in the military? No. I don't even have a squad yet. I don't need one. No one's showed up to try to hurt me. All right, and then the other people that arrived. So, blah, weaponsmith. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it. I'm going to rename them peasant because They're not a weaponsmith. And you, farmer. No, this is the actual farmer who's actually good at farming. The other farmer, this new arrival, I'm going to rename peasant as well. And it's just a good reminder that they don't have a specialized skill that matters to me at the moment. This metal crafter is a proficient metal crafter, but they're also my gem cutter. I'm going to leave their profession alone. And then these blacksmiths are both okay blacksmiths. And then the woodcutter is a adequate woodcutter. They can woodcut, so I'll leave them alone. Cool. Would it be possible to have your adequate weaponsmith to make the ammunition? Yes, if you want to micromanage it so that all of your ammo is made on one specific workbench, and that one specific workbench is dedicated to a weaponsmith that is not skilled. It stops that whole, like... Because what ends up happening, and I explained this before, when you have a legendary weaponsmith who makes bolts, anytime they make masterwork bolts, when those bolts are used for hunting or fighting, the bolts are lost in combat, and it upsets them that one of their masterworks is lost. It's a weird bug. So it does help to have a weaponsmith, or just anyone who's relatively unskilled at weaponsmithing, make your bolts instead. Or buy your bolts, but bolts are really expensive, so don't do that. So yeah, there is a reason to keep around like a average weaponsmith for that reason. With a population of 15... I'm going to put a few more beds. I probably won't need them, but I'm going to put 2 more beds in the dorm. And then that new woodcutter, I'm going to... Oh, you know what? I still have, like, pine tree cutting queued up. But I'm going to queue up a few more pine tree cut. Because pretty soon, I suspect I'm going to get into smelting. And I'm going to make a lot of charcoal out of the pine. So, we will have work for you. So there's the pine trees. But the extra mouths to feed also means that I should queue up brewing. And maybe make sure that my fisher dwarf is fishing full time. And let's look at locked. So the stoneworker is still stone cutting and carving up and smoothing out the dorm or the cafeteria, the dining room. But once they're done, I should unlock them from that. All right. And this bridge is waiting for construction. So then the other thing I could do for that bridge is to set up a lever for it. And for now, I'm just going to set up a lever sort of in the main concourse area so that it's close to people to be able to pull it in an emergency. And there was the warning that the merchants are leaving soon. You can see that it gives you a pretty ample amount of time. Here's the wood furnace. So with this new wood furnace, I'm going to queue up some charcoal tasks. Make charcoal, make until I have 30 of it, let's say. Make it when charcoal is less than 30, and when logs are greater than 20. At some point, I'll probably make fertilizer for the farm, too, out of ash. But this is enough tasks for now. And then this is a smelter to be able to smelt ores. And I'm not quite there yet. I don't really have a need for true metalworking just yet. But I will eventually, and I'll put that industry, at least temporarily, up here. So I'll queue that up to be mined. Thank you for tuning in to Dwarf Fortress Taming the Wilds, which originally streamed live on Twitch December 27th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. But please keep in mind that I'm a relatively new player, and I'd like to learn at my own pace. If you'd like to join a live stream of mine, Rhodamont.com has a link to Twitch, as well as my stream schedule. If you'd like to join my gaming community, Rhodamont.com also has a link to Discord, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Farewell, my fellow dwarves.